Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mindset Teaching Outside the Box. We're your hosts, Jillian Willie,
And Eileen Edwards.
and today we're going to talk about meditation. So, Eileen, what is meditation?
Oh, well, something that I know I misunderstood before I started the practice, but it can be defined as a set of techniques that are intended to encourage a heightened state of awareness, focus, and attention. So, in most cases, it's probably slightly different than what each person kind of thinks that it is. Um, It has been shown to have a wide number of benefits psychologically, but even now there's research being done on the physical well-being as well. And I think that the meditation practice itself um, has us consider and examine attentively and deliberately, which allows us to focus our thoughts on something deeply in order to understand it.
Mhm. That's deep. Like, that is such a beautiful way to kind of give an overview of what it means. You were saying before that there's a lot of misconceptions of what meditation is.
Yeah.
And I know for me, starting out before I really learned what meditation was, I thought it was something that like monks did. And that was it. And they sat there, with their pretzel legs and their hands, kind of like open, but like making a little circle and saying, "Om." And then I didn't really get it. And that is one way to meditate, but that was all I thought it was. I didn't understand what they were doing or why they were doing it, and it turned me off from wanting to even understand because there were so many misconceptions in my world about that. So I love that you shared that whole comprehensive definition, because meditation is such a beautiful, amazing, enlightening practice that I think it's really important to get out there what it means. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's really transformative. Um, and I mean, I've heard that, but I can say that from personal experience. Just 10 minutes a day when I first started, 700 days ago, um, just 10 minutes every morning. Um, I was telling a friend today how difficult those 10 minutes were for me when I first started. Um, they were challenging, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but just seriously, 10 minutes a day. That's what I felt like I could commit at that time, where my um, mindset was, where my mind was, where my ego was, all that stuff. And so I'd say it was probably after about 2 weeks of 10 minutes every morning that, I noticed my life significantly changing, um, but every day I did it for 10 minutes. Um, I'll talk more about that, a little bit later, but yeah, I think there is a lot of misconceptions about what meditation is, that I'm gonna share with everyone today. All of the different things that, can be a meditation practice, and some of these things, there is a very good chance that each listener is already doing something on this list, but maybe not using it as a meditation practice, even though they're already doing maybe the action itself.
Mhm. I'm really excited to learn more even. I mean, I do meditate. I've been meditating probably for about 6 months now. I have not been consistent throughout that 6 months doing a meditation practice every single day. I've kind of fallen in, fallen out, just kind of done what resonated with me. I had times where I would do like a quick 2-minute meditation just to get my meditation time in, because I have grown to crave that time, to just have my time to go within and meditate. And it is so transformative, as you shared. And I've noticed for me, as I've opened myself up, I I get a lot of different messages from source when I'm meditating, and I'll have aha moments that, I'll ask a question, and then a couple days later when I'm meditating, the answer just comes to me. It's really cool. And I think that might be a little bit of what you maybe were hinting at, with transformation, one of the pieces of that. But so I know what I've been doing, but I don't know everything that's out there. And I know that you have a lot of great insights with your schooling and becoming a meditation teacher. So I'm excited to learn more as well.
Fantastic. Always willing to share, always. I think what most people think of meditation, when they think of meditation, if they're new to it or haven't done it or don't have friends that have tried to get them to join, um, they probably do think of it as something like you said, which is one form of meditation, mantras. Um, it's really about the vibration, it's about the repetition, um, and the vibration that that particular, there's lots of different mantras, but there's lots of different sounds that can be used, um, and they kind of, again, it's about the vibration of that sound. And I was not interested in that either. Since starting, I've done it a couple of times. um, it's not one of my favorites, but a lot of people swear by it. um, and the other one is like guided meditation, which is kind of what I'm um, leading a lot of, um, guided meditation, where, the meditation teacher is actually talking you through the steps, the process. They're there as kind of a guide. And so you're the one that's doing the meditation, but they are kind of giving you pointers along the way. And I had um, a student, an adult student, an adult student last week say that she tried meditation before, but not like this particular type, and that she really found like doing a guided meditation was really helpful for her, because she knew that someone was there and that they could kind of reel her back in when she got herself, off track, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But so those two are probably the most experienced meditations that people would be familiar with already. Mantras or guided meditation. Yoga is another one that can be seen as meditative, kind of has breathing strategies built into it. And so that's another one. But there are so many more. Many.
That's interesting. I didn't know that yoga was considered a form of meditation. It makes sense. I mean, hearing it, but I hadn't connected that. That's
I don't
cool.
think it's necessarily like a formal meditation, but during yoga, they encourage you to focus. They have a lot of the same components of meditation. And so if somebody is a yoga teacher, there's a very good chance that they too have gotten, practice in guiding meditation, because um, again, they both have some of the same components. It's just looks different, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's cool. And that's nice too for people who want more of the movement part. too, but want some of that like deep breathing and relaxation. It's a nice kind of marriage of the two. And
Absolutely.
I started, you touched on guided meditation. That is how I started out with my meditation practice. I found at first it was very hard. I know this is common. I found it was hard to shut my mind off, and I would have those thoughts racing through. Um, and it's very normal and
Mhm.
something that I have learned and I know is big in meditation is to let the thoughts come and kind of observe them and then let them float away. And it's okay, don't try to like shove them out the door.
Yeah.
Be aware of them, acknowledge them, and then kind of let them go.
Absolutely. That's probably the one thing that I say to people the most and have to explain repeatedly, because I don't think,
Mhm.
based on the way that we are conditioned and programmed, like, I don't think that people think that it's normal. It actually is. That the mind is gonna do that, partially because of our conditioning and programming, partially because of our environment, partially because of, um sorry, I'm dealing with allergies. Partially because of our, ancestors and the conditioning and programming that comes along with that. Part of it is what we talked about before, like that survival instinct. It's like that constantly thinking about the next moment or the last moment so you can do the next moment differently or better. And so it is normal. It is normal for your mind to go 24/7 um, and still be able to meditate. Like you can get yourself there. It might not happen the first 2 weeks like it didn't for me. But it is totally possible for anyone to start a meditation practice. I'm actually excited to share a few of the other types because I think um, something else might actually resonate with someone and they'd be, oh, okay, I think I could do that. You know, Make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What you got for us?
So you mentioned movement. Um, and so part of that are things like walking meditation. A lot of people do walking meditation or running. That's something that something that I did for many years and didn't realize why I was doing it. Now
Mhm.
I understand why I was doing it.
So
I
what did
told a doctor once, I said, medication, I had anxiety, panic attacks, all that stuff. Um, the one thing that works for me is running. And he's like, "I'm not surprised, not surprised, but now I understand why." Because that's where I would get, um, it's funny, stillness, but not stillness in my body, stillness in my mind. Takes a lot of focus to run without hurting yourself. And so it kind of has you a little bit more focused into the present moment, which is one of the things we'll be talking about components of meditation. But running, walking, they're all ways to be in the present moment and aware. You do have to be careful that you're not letting your mind get away from you during those things. Same thing with the yoga. And so I'll talk about the components a little bit more, but there's also other types of movement. I watched a one of my mindful schools teachers um, do a I'm trying to remember exactly what she called it. It was like a um, some type of movement um, regulation meditation where she had very specific movements that she had the students go through. Some of them were very like silly, like your hands are kind of like upside down over your head. Like she just stepped them through these different processes, and as she was doing it, those processes became more in flow and more smooth. And um, I think that I wish I remembered the exact name that she used. But again, meditation isn't about um, necessarily your body being completely still. And I think that's what teachers need to understand and parents need to understand if they're trying to do it with their kids, is that if you're doing a guided meditation, like something like I would do, or you might get on YouTube, um, you can give those prompts. Like you can, you know, um, talk about, focusing on your breath and um, getting yourself comfortable in your chair and these different things. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the person's going to be absolutely still. It's okay if kids are moving. It's natural, but that it might be like more so a prompt of like, see if you can get your body more still, not necessarily still. Um, it really comes back to me more so about that awareness and um, being aware that your body is kind of in motion is part of the practice. Being aware of your thoughts that are going to go and go, like that's part of the practice. It's that it really comes back to that awareness.
So meditation, because I've never formally learned, like the definition you gave makes complete sense, but I never formally learned, what it is. I just learned here's different, some different ways to do it.
Mhm.
Um, but meditation really is just the the practice of being fully present and aware and calming your mind more so than necessary. And of course, you're going to calm your body through
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
but it's about more about the mind and just the calming. I mean,
Yeah, it's
right?
about the awareness. It's being aware of what's happening in your body, being aware of what's happening in your mind. Not so much forcing a change in it, but being aware of what's happening because then that means you are present.
Mhm.
If you're in the now, if you're in this present moment, then you are aware of everything that's kind of going on, not judging it, not reacting to it, not forcing it to be another way, not having expectations for it. That's another thing that humans have trouble with. I know I did. Um, but just being aware and accepting and then releasing it, letting it go. And then you do gain some stillness and you gain some silence and space. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. So then I'm really curious. So then when you were talking about running meditation, is it meditation because you're just focusing on what you're doing? Is that why, or is there something else that's involved?
So, actually, a few of the things that I have on the list, running's one of them. Running, walking, um, yoga, music is meditation. That's another one that people might be more um, inclined to start with. And I'm trying to think if there's anything. Oh, the shower. You've brought up the shower before. All of these things that I've just mentioned can all be meditation because they are present moment awareness practices. So it's not like anytime you take a shower, it's a meditation. It's if you are consciously aware of every moment. So if you get in the shower with the intent of just getting a shower, enjoying the washing of your hair, you know, actually being present in the rinsing out of the shampoo, like truly in the present moment and not elsewhere, not planning your day, not trying to figure out what time it is, what time do you have to be at work, not your mind playing out what happened the night before, not judging what just happened in the exchange between you and your spouse. If you're a teacher, not worried about whether you're going to fit all of your plans into the day that day, just consciously aware of each and every step of the shower. That is a meditation.
Got it.
Same thing with walking, running, listening to music. Like literally, a lot of people use music as meditation, and they can because they're just sitting there consciously listening to each note. They can actually hear the spaces in between them.
Mhm. Wow.
Very powerful. But then being aware when the mind comes in, because it will, and then bringing yourself back to just the song that you're listening to. And it'll pull you away again. And then you just bring yourself back.
Mhm. Oh, that makes so much sense. Yeah. And you know that too, with music, I
Mhm.
know for me, there are some people that can meditate. I think you said you can meditate without music and just being still and
Oh,
calm.
yes.
For me, I can do that, but I prefer to have a frequency playing, which all music is a frequency, right? Everything is energy. So I like to, like, I have some frequencies that I really like, or some music pieces that I really like. And I'll kind of just whatever I'm in the mood for, put it on. But yeah, music is big. I love that.
Yeah, and I think what you were mentioning is like a silent meditation, which, really seasoned veteran meditators and spiritual teachers, like that's the goal. And but even for me, I've been doing this for just about 2 years, and silent meditation is not my favorite. And it's not that I don't have the guidance. I can do meditation without guidance now. Um, but I don't enjoy the silent meditation, which actually is absolutely hilarious if for those people who do not know me. Because for the last, 20 years, all I've ever asked for is silence. But silent meditation is not my favorite. Um, Ryan, who's going to join us next week, he does a 30-minute silent meditation every day at noon. And he opens it to everybody they can join. And it's literally a group of people that I've meditated with tons of times, but I just don't do the silent one. But they literally for 30 minutes sit there. They log into Zoom and they sit there for 30 minutes in silence. And it's just right now, I'm sure one day, but right now it's just not my thing. And someone who is, a seasoned meditator, um, they probably have longer bits of time in between the thoughts. Um, and so it probably passes by easier. Um, but for me, anytime I've ever tried to do it, I've done it with him a couple times. Um, I always find myself, and I know it's good practice, but always find myself every, minute or two reminding myself, oh, there's the thoughts again. Back to my breath. Oh, there's my thoughts again. Back to my breath. Um, and so I can do it, but I don't prefer that particular type. I like a lot of the others. I do guided meditation a few times a day. I do about 3 times a day at minimum now. They're usually only 10 to 15 minutes each. The ones that I do in VR sometimes are a little longer, but
Real
sound
quick, can you just first, people who don't know, can you say what VR means?
Oh, virtual reality. So that is like a we all are avatars, um and we have a headset. It actually is, I have found, I don't know if you've found yet, Jillian, but I have found those sessions um really powerful for me because I almost feel like I'm in person with them. So I do a lot of meditation on my own by myself. I do a lot of meditation in groups over Zoom. Um, because of when my journey started, it started, right before COVID. Um, so I haven't really done any in person, and I feel like for virtual reality, um, you really feel like you are in their presence, even though it's an avatar. And we've talked before about how energy um, travels. And so the Zoom meditations that I do, I know you've done a couple with me. Um,
Yep.
you can feel that energy. You can feel it. And so the same thing happens in VR. I
Mhm.
feel that connectedness to the people. I have goosebumps right now. I feel that connectedness with the participants. Um, and I've been doing group meditations probably since about 2 months into my practice. And I've always found them very healing in nature. So even if it's someone else healing, that in turn leaves me feeling almost healed as well.
Yeah, that healing energy. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree. I've done a few um, VR meditations. The one thing for me personally that I struggle with is has nothing to do with virtual reality itself. I absolutely love it. For me, it's just the headset. Like
Mhm.
I have it adjusted finally so it doesn't fall off my face.
Yeah.
Then it's like after probably 20 minutes, they start to go like numb a little bit in my head. So then it's like all I can think about is the fact that my head is going numb. So I love it, when technology gets to a place where where we don't have to wear a big headset, I think it'll be more my thing. But yeah,
Mhm.
I totally agree. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are. You don't even have to be talking to the person. You can
Mm-mm.
connect to someone's energy or send someone energy halfway across the world, you know? I mean, Bob Proctor talks about like cell phones. I mean, you could think about it that way. We can pick up a cell phone and call someone, dial into them anywhere in the world at the touch of a button. What is that? Well, that's energy.
Mhm.
Think about it the same way. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it is really powerful. No matter where you are, who you are, how your method of communication. Yeah, and actually, I think meditation can be even more powerful in a group because you have all of your energy.
Yep. It is. I have time and time again, and I do group meditation. I was doing it once a week on Friday nights on Zoom. Um, from about, like I said, 2 months into my practice. But now with VR, I do it like 4 nights a week, at least. And I really do find it very um, centering, very therapeutic, very healing, being in on those sessions. I have gotten a different head. Um, I don't even know what you would call it, strap or something. I have a different one than what you have, um, which has helped me because I get that. I'd be like, okay, I think I'm gonna need to take this off. um, but yeah, I totally get it.
Might have to touch base with you about that.
There are still more. So, one that I was getting ready to say was sound meditation. So, this isn't necessarily like music. There are some meditations. I'm trying to think of the company that I use. Sacred Acoustic is the one that I use, where they have different like soundtracks. They'll be, in a lot of them, they'll have some. Um, minimal guidance in it, but you can turn it off. So some people just do the sound, like you said, like frequencies. So a lot of people find those very healing. You'll even hear people talking about in advertising sound healing and stuff like that. Like it's a form of meditation. There's also something else that you were talking about, like breath. They call it breath work, and it's like deep breathing meditations, and I've done them a few times. I personally find them a little overwhelming. They have you breathe really deeply, and a lot of them go really fast. So not everybody can do them because certain health conditions can't. But they have ones that are like energy boosting and stuff like that. And I've done them a couple of times and almost feel like I've overdone it. So, but a lot of people swear by those
Uh-huh.
at work. There's also visualization, which I personally can't do. Haven't been able to figure out how to do that yet. Um, but a lot of people do like visualization, or even like progressive relaxation, which would be kind of talking you through a scan, a deep scan of your body. Um, I recommend that one to my daughter at bedtime all the time to get herself settled, just focusing on one single body part um, at a time, breathing into it. And it really gets you back to your inner body, which is another one, inner body awareness, where you're literally just focusing on the energy that's in your body. You could sit there and just focus on your hands. And the longer you focus and are aware of just your hands, you'll notice that there's energy flowing through them that you don't even realize. I
Mhm.
remember the first time I did an inner body awareness meditation, and I was like, wait, I do feel that. Like, wait, I didn't even know that that was there. I mean, think about all the things that are happening in our body, things that happen subconsciously. We don't even control them, our breath, our heart rate, our digestion, blood flow, all of these things that are happening on their own. So when you really do go into the body, um, it's really mind blowing at first, actually.
Mhm. Yeah. Actually, since you say that, one of it wasn't my first. It took, I don't remember how long it was before I started feeling energy when I was meditating. I don't think it was that long. Um, but I would start to feel like I was buzzing, like
Yes.
my hands, really in my hands, really strongly. And then it would kind of flow through my body. And the first time it happened, I was like, oh my goodness, what is happening to me right now?
Yes.
And I was just like, okay, well, I guess this is normal. I mean, it didn't feel bad or anything. So I was like, okay. And then I don't know, I think it was at some point, you and I were talking, or you said something, or we did a meditation. I don't know. There was something where it was brought up, like you might feel the energy. And then it clicked for me that this is what I'm feeling. But it is really cool to just focus on it, and to experience that. And
Mhm.
it only happens, I only feel it when I'm meditating. It's really interesting. I
Yeah,
guess that's when you're focused on the energy, right?
you can't you can't feel it when you're in your mind. Your body can't do both of those at once. And I mean, we really spend probably 99% of our time, unless we have a good meditative practice, um, in our head, in our mind, or we're asleep.
Mhm.
So yeah, people don't experience that. And it's a little jarring at first. Um, but then I do find that when I do that practice and I get myself, like, it gets me really centered, because I feel like I have a focus. Um, I find it really, I'm going to say it again, really healing, because um, giving space to those things that you'll feel in your body, like tension that you don't even know you have. I remember there was probably an 8-week span right after I went through the 2 weeks of the 10 minutes in the morning. There was like an 8-week span after that where I spent every day at school reminding myself to drop my shoulders, because my shoulders were like up at my ears and I never even knew. And for like 8 weeks, I remember the whole recess period, 30 minutes every day of school going, bring them back, dropping them back down. Now, back, like just the whole 30 minutes. And then as, the time went on, didn't have to remind myself so much. And now they naturally, but like there's just things when you do inner body awareness, there's things that you notice and they might seem uncomfortable or even painful. Um, but giving them space, giving them your time and your energy and your focus can actually soften them, you know? So I like to focus on my neck and my shoulders because I often find that I'm holding tension there. But if I do meditation and I give a real deep focus into that location and I don't shift from it, so a lot of meditation teachers will like do a body scan type thing. They'll go through each of the body parts. And when they start to do that, I don't go past that spot because that's another thing about meditation is like it is what works for you. So even if the person who's guiding you is saying, okay, now move your attention to your arms. Like if you're noticing that you have tension held in your shoulders and your neck, and you understand like your meditation practice, like I was in one yesterday. And I was like, I didn't leave that spot. I just gave because it obviously needed attention. And so I just stayed there. Um, and it just slowly softened the more space that I gave it, the more tension and focus that I gave it. Um, but yeah, it can be, again, very healing, even physically.
Mm. And actually, that makes a lot of sense um, when you think about it, because if you have tension or pain or something in an area, we've talked about before, that's a manifestation of something going on, something that you're thinking about, or some kind of negative energy or whatever it is. And if you don't replace that with love and compassion and the positive aspect of what you do on, it's not going to go away. So by giving it the attention that it clearly needed, you're healing it, and then you're able to focus on the good and the positive, to keep that energy flowing good and to keep you feeling good. So that makes complete sense. I actually kind of relate that to, I know this isn't exactly on this topic, but I was reading a book the other day, and it said that when you have, like, your ego comes up and your paradigms come up,
Mhm.
to give them love, like to acknowledge them. Because if you don't, then it's just going to get mad and it's going to come back full force. So to start like writing down those negative thoughts that you have and then reading them with love and compassion, because then you're acknowledging them in a loving way. And then that part of you is like, okay, I'm not being glossed over. You're giving me what I need. And then it kind of helps you work through that paradigm. So I'm kind of relating that to what you're saying now, like just giving it the attention that it needs so that you can release it, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. The same reason why I ended up feeling like this. Because 3 weeks in a row of really pushing it, and then universe is like, "All right, if you're not gonna take it easy, I'll step it up a notch. You'll take it easy." But it's like the same thing. It's like giving the body and the mind space to be, not do, but to be and to heal. Um, and so I totally get it. Totally makes sense. And you mentioned, offering, um, loving kindness to like the spaces in your body or whatever. That's like another type of meditation is loving kindness. We typically um, send loving kindness to ourselves, to people who we love, to people who we might find challenging. It's kind of like it's like a cathartic process. Um, but can even do it with like situations too. That's another form of meditation. I think I got them all except two more. Gratitude. Now, it's not just like sitting there thinking of gratitude because that's a thinking practice, but the feelings that come with it for people who actually have a gratitude practice of like making a list of things and like pausing and really taking the time to be aware in what it feels like to be grateful for each of those things. Something like that would be a type of meditation. I do a guided gratitude practice that's a meditation um, that I find really helpful. And the other one is nature, which we've talked about.
Mhm.
Being in nature is totally a form of meditation. If you are, again, truly being in the present moment and aware of your surroundings, noticing the color of the trees, the texture of the dirt, um, not thinking.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes total sense. And I know, as you said, we've talked about how nature is grounding
Yes.
and just really like therapeutic.
Hmm.
So it makes complete sense. And nature is so, at least in my opinion, it's so beautiful when you really stop to look at it. It makes sense that it would just be that calming, present, meditative. I want to say thing, but that's not really a good. Sorry, I'm getting tired over here. But yeah, it's interesting too, as it started getting nicer out. And I've been meditating, as I said, for the past 6 months. I found that I really love meditating outside too. Just sometimes I just want to get out and be in the fresh air and the sunshine and hear the birds and all of that too. So that's something. So
Well, only other thing I was going to share was the components of meditation, and which might help people understand why so many of those things are meditation. The things that kind of have to exist. Um, but were you getting ready to say something?
well, I wasn't sure if we wanted to maybe break this
Oh,
episode up a little bit because we are getting
that's fine.
like the 40-minute mark. So maybe this would be a good place for people to kind of,
Sure.
try some things out, see what you like. And but I really want to hear the components because I don't even know what actually makes a meditation a meditation. And definitely in our next, not our next episode because we have a guest, but maybe the one after that, sharing those components and some different ways to use this with
Sure.
students in the classroom or children, and how it can transform your life.
Absolutely. Sounds good to me.
Awesome. So thank you, everyone. We're so grateful for you listening and joining in with us. We have a Facebook group, Mindset Teaching Outside the Box. We would love to have you. We are growing every day and so grateful for that community building. So come on over and join us. Anything else, Eileen?
You can also find us on YouTube, Mindset Teaching Outside the Box. You can see these videos as well as our podcasts. All of that information is shared in the Facebook group.
Awesome. Thank you for that reminder. And we will see you next week where we have a special guest. Have a
Yep.
great day, everyone.
Thank you.